It's awesome. Oh no. Wait, say that again.
I'm cosplaying Cézanne.
Okay, sorry. Hello, this is Gina Beavers.
And this is Timothy Hull.
And welcome to Unstretched.
Unstretched.
Unstretched, yay. I was trying to sound very like CNN or something, like very news
Hello,
anchor.
welcome to Unstretched.
This is, even though, the summer version of Unstretched is like me trying madly to gather things in my brain. And it's,
Yeah, so many little loose ends, little
loose
strings.
ends, the routine. I feel like my routine is all broken down. Like we're going away every weekend and then I come back and I'm doing laundry and grocery shopping like on Monday when I would normally be like working, so I'm a little scattered.
I took an online drawing class at Lehman College, which is
But
sort of the rhythm of like a schedule and a routine, although asynchronous, which I love because it's like I build this course online like through Brightspace that CUNY uses, and I built the whole class as this like do it on your own time, submit by the deadline. I give feedback. There's little critique forums where each student gives each other feedback. It's really super fun. Like I actually
it's awesome.
love teaching these online classes because especially at CUNY where so many of the students have full-time jobs or have children or have families or caretakers, having a asynchronous online art class, which on the face of it sounds so stupid, is actually highly effective and really quite fun.
Oh, that's really great. And when you say asynchronous, you mean they can get on, they can take it, log on and do different parts at their own pace.
I don't hold part of the class like live on Zoom kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I've recorded really videos, cool. I post videos, I give written feedback like in the forums, they post images and I give them critique and feedback. They give each other critique and feedback. It's really cool.
So cool. I want to take that class.
It's fun. I also teach on the Italian Renaissance at a small Catholic private school.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, it's the history of the city of Florence and the Italian Renaissance.
Oh, wow.
Like an online asynchronous class.
That's amazing.
I teach that during the winters. That's like
okay. That's your
We've got a gig. We've got a gig going.
Yeah. What's the gig? I know. Yeah.
But summer, it's been hot. It's been hazy. That like crazy wildfire in Canada made everything yellow.
That was so crazy. Is that still going on?
It's coming back apparently, but from some other direction, I think.
Oh geez. Oh my gosh.
It was so weird to see the shadows. Like it would cast yellow-orange shadows in the garden and around the house, and it was very apocalyptic, and the birds would stop singing like during an eclipse. It was very, very weird.
Oh, it's so weird. Yeah, I've had like weather. It's felt I went to see oh my God, my brain. I woke up at 3:30 and then didn't fall back asleep till 5:30. Brian Ballot invited me to Donald Bachelor's studio.
Wait, why was I invited? Why didn't you invite me?
I'm sorry, I didn't know, but you should let him know.
Wait, Donald Bachelor's studio that's upstate?
No, that's here. Yeah, they brought, I think they closed down a lot of his upstate studio and they're bringing everything to the city. So it's sort of like an exhibition space, different bodies of work. They're uncovering, unpacking different things. He was like so insanely prolific and like so many drawings. So Brian is going through and cataloging all the different kinds of drawings and then putting them in books.
Donald Bachelor, is he one of the myriad artists who like worked for Donald Bachelor?
He worked for him for a long time, and then they brought him back in the foundation as part of the foundation to like, so it was really great. They took me around and explained different.
So I'm insanely jealous like that. I almost like can't continue the podcast right now because
I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you felt that way about. Oh, well, then
like
you have to
my
go.
great life
Yeah.
regret is like we never got to meet him, and I knew all these like
Yeah.
crazy gays who like partied hard at his loft, and also all these like
Yeah.
crazy straight dudes who like partied hard. My brother partied hard at his loft. Like
Wow,
I
wow,
feel like I never
wow.
came to party
Yeah.
so
Um,
unbelievably hard at this guy's loft, and I never
yeah.
was invited. Never had an in. It's a great life regret. Probably actually got out of it by the skin of my teeth,
Yeah.
but
Oh my
I've just kind of
gosh.
always been like a little obsessed with Donald
Oh,
Bachelor.
that's amazing. Where you have to go. They're trying to have more artists come. They want it to be like a living collection, and like, they're the ultimate authorities on all of his
It
work.
wrote
So
me up. Wrote me up,
yes,
and
yes, you're gonna go next. Yeah, you're gonna, and I
I'm
had no idea, or I would have, yeah. Um, because I tagged it on. I was going to see Alyssa Bennett and Nomi Fry discuss, at Hauser, discuss Carol Rama, and that was at like 5:30. So I stopped at Donald Bachelor Studio first, and then
where
I
is his last
managed.
studio?
It's like
Is in
28th. It's near the Fashion District. It's like 28th and 5th or somewhere around there. Yeah. And I managed to time it so right as I walked out, the skies opened up, and then it was like torrential for my entire walk, my like 20-minute walk to Chelsea. I was just, and then as soon as I get there, it like stops. So I was like, wow, that was really amazing that I did that. But yeah, and
That's
then
the all of the weather in New York.
yeah, totally. Well, and then the talk with Nomi Fry and Alyssa Bennett was amazing.
What was
And
that all about?
well, so they have works in a group show, and then I think they also have a solo show of Carol Rama at a different location. This is the one in Chelsea. So I didn't actually see that show, but they showed a lot of the
They were
works that are
talking
in the
about
show.
Carol Rama's work.
Yeah, and also her as sort of a character, as this kind of like scary female archetype, and
I only
yeah.
knew her as a very female archetype. Can you tell us more about like how does she transcend that?
Well, she was Italian and lived at a time, making her work, at a time when there was no I mean, there was no support for like what she was doing. So I think it just, in some ways that kind of lack of attention, can just make you totally fearless. Cause like, what do you have to lose in terms of a lot of her early work was just, all these snakes coming out of vaginas and like, yeah, just, very,
Yeah, it's wild.
very in your face kind of, but like, if no one's paying attention, then like, yeah, you don't really have the same guardrails as everybody else. You can just go
But was she
wild. So,
Italian in the sense like she is actually like born in Italy, or is she Italian American? That I'm not sure.
oh yeah, she's born in Italy. Yeah,
Oh,
she's
okay.
Italian, and she grew up
But did she
among.
situate in like the arte povera movement? Like,
Yeah,
is
she
she
was.
kind of that?
Oh no, you're breaking up. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she was kind of. Those were her friends. Like those were and some of her work, even in different eras, dovetails with that. Like she's sort of known for her earliest body of work, but then she did other things as well that were more minimal, or yeah. I feel like I'm not doing the best job. I was describing it because there was they did have drinks at this event, and they gave me this like tequila. Was it tequila, or yeah, just tequila with a giant ice cube, massive, as I went in, and I was just sipping on it during the talk. And now when I look back, I'm like, yeah, what did I learn about Carol Rama? But
That's one way to really enjoy a sort of difficult lecture is just a
mhm.
giant ice cube with tequila. Because that just melts so nice and slow, and it allows you to sip for like an hour, and it gives you some kind of like oral
Yeah.
fixation.
Totally. Well, and I was also, I thankfully I didn't get up. There wasn't any question and answer, um, or comment section, because I was like worried about what I might get up and ask. And one of them is like, because talking just about aging women, and both of them are like 40 plus, and talking about what happens as you get older and how people see you. And my question was going to be about like a European aging woman versus an American aging woman, and how those two, maybe one
Discuss.
is one is taken more seriously than the other. I don't know. I think it would still be better to be an aging woman with an accent other than American. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I never actually thought of that, of like the sort of gender, this situating someone in terms of like respective gender and age based on their like geography, their sort of nationality.
yeah.
Because I do feel like you're right that there's something, so you sort of just take as a given, like the older European woman as being having some kind of gravitas.
Yes.
But then you think of like, I don't know, I think of like Pat Steer, who
Yeah.
passed away recently. Like when I think of someone like her, I'm like, oh, she's got gravitas. Like
Yeah.
she's sort of very serious person.
For sure.
Or Joyce Kozloff, who,
Yeah.
in fact, just recently, I think it was yesterday, it came out that she was one of the original Guerrilla Girls.
Oh, yeah. That was so cool.
And she was like, yep, it's me.
Yeah, totally. Linda Benglis too. I think there are a lot of, I think there's some, I was being, again, that was
There's women, there's older American women who are blazing, you know, the sort of boomers now who are blazing, who are older and blazing the trail for like, I can be badass and old at the same time.
Yeah,
Cool.
and American, and it's fine. Yeah.
Accent or not.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the other thing that I would have brought up is this frustrating, I think like on Instagram, whenever have you noticed this, whenever there's an older artist, they'll often post a younger picture, like particularly with women, like a young hot picture of them versus what they look like now. I'm not saying they're not hot, but like for the feed, it's like, oh, that's the old black and white of when they were hot. Like that, I don't know, annoys me so
Well, that's
bad.
going to make the algorithm pop, you know?
I know, but it's like, oh, God.
Strategy. But, you know, I don't mind that so much, only in that I don't know what they looked like back then, per se.
Yeah.
So to see like a photo of maybe an 86-year-old artist when they were 46 or something, like I'm like, oh, that's, you know, I can relate to that. That's like how old I am now. Or, you know, when you find, like when you're a teenager and you find a photo of your mom when she looked hot and cool, and you're like, whoa, I thought my mom was old and gross, but actually she was like hot and cool. And you kind of like have a new assessment of her as like a deeper person.
I know, but that's the point. Like the ageism of it all, you know? Like that's what annoys me. But I guess, I guess I'm not making my point.
Arc of a life, though. You know, like
for sure. It's like seeing your teacher in the grocery store or something. Like, oh, they had a whole other. Right. Well, yeah. Real. I mean, you could really like obsess about like your parents as young people. I mean, it's a really crazy mind fuck, right? To think of your parents like getting together and falling in love and
when you're a teenager and you think your parents are so stupid.
Yeah.
Like when I was 15, I found black and white pictures of my mother in Greenwich Village in the early 60s being really like a beatnik with a cat on her shoulder, barefoot in Greenwich Village. And I was like, my mom looks like she's out of a Bob Dylan album. Like,
so
I
cool.
can't believe she was so cool living in Greenwich Village in the early 60s. Like, and all of a sudden my mom, who at the time was maybe like 50 something, seemed really cool all of a sudden because I saw that she was at one time like a young, hip, artsy person.
Totally.
And I don't know. I feel like as a teenager, your mind can get.
No, totally. I mean, I do think that your mom was probably in the coolest 10% of moms in that era. Like if you're in Greenwich Village in the 60s and that, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, she was like, like playing classical guitar and like hanging out at like the Fat Black Pussycat on Minetta Lane, like doing all that kind of early 60s stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but I don't know, like sometimes it's fun to post it. Like I posted a picture of myself from my freshman year at Hampshire College when Hampshire College was like closing. I was like, look at me when I was like 18 at Hampshire College. And it really made the algorithm pop. Like, I mean, I got like 100 comments, you know.
Yes,
so, I don't
but
know.
I mean, I think that's
gives a
different.
Fuck if the algorithm pops?
No, I know. I think that's different though. When like a museum or like a blue chip gallery does that. It's like,
Well, that's a horse of a different color.
that's what
Wait,
I'm
don't.
saying.
That's like the birthday posts, which drives
That's,
me
yes,
up
I
the
know.
fucking wall.
But that's what annoys me. It doesn't annoy me when like you post. I love that. I mean, it's like, but it annoys me when it's like this person is a blue chip artist and you still can't just post what they look like. You have to post
Right.
what they look like.
You're an
You
old
have to
wrinkly
market
lady that you
it.
don't want to admit.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
market it to like this younger, and that just like annoys me when a museum does it too. And I'm
Yeah.
just like,
Okay,
oh
that's a good
gosh,
context for how
that's
annoying
what
it
I
is.
was.
But
That's what I was trying to
this,
say. I wasn't
I
trying
want
to.
to dial
Yeah,
this back now for a
yeah,
brief moment. It's a small
yeah,
digression, but it's something I've wanted to talk about for a while. Is the ubiquitous gallery birthday post,
yeah,
which
yeah,
drives
yeah,
me up the fucking wall. Because
yeah,
really, it's just another opportunity to be
yeah,
like, look at our artists, look at them in their
yeah,
studio. Or are they barefoot in the studio? Like,
yeah, yeah,
it just is like another marketing technique that
yeah, yeah,
feels or looks like it's sort of selflessly celebrating
yeah,
artists, but it's all
yeah,
like just this like
yeah,
continuous marketing ego bullshit, to the point
yeah,
where I will tell any gallery I work with, I'm not telling you my birthday, so you're not going to do it. But even if it is my birthday, don't do it,
mm-hmm,
because it's like, it's also like when other people on Instagram post about other people's birthdays, and
mm-hmm,
then everyone wants to jump on that bandwagon because they have a
yeah,
lot of social cachet. That's the kind of compare and despair shit on
mm-hmm,
Instagram that is bullshit.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Like, I'm like, don't do it. You don't need to do it. You don't, unless it's maybe your husband or your partner or something. Even that's a little cringe, but it's okay. But when people go bandwagony with all like the birthday posts and reposts and all that, I don't know.
yeah,
It just makes me always feel like there's someone who's really sad about it. There's someone
yeah,
who's like, it's my birthday and I didn't get any posts, or,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just bullshit that I hate. So anyway,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I can see. I'm also like when they post it, this is like a it's a working relationship that artist has with the gallery, and like who knows what state it's in at the time that they post them. They could be like sending angry emails back and forth, and then the Instagram's like, "Hooray for so and so! It's their birthday." It's like, I don't know. It's just funny to me. It's just like a jarring kind of. Um, Feels like high school or like your elementary teacher being like,
exactly.
"Hey, it's Gina's
Right.
birthday
It's
today." Yeah,
infantilizing. There's something infantilizing about it. But I'm a
it's
little
really
cynical
funny.
about that kind of thing because in
Yeah,
general, I've never been someone who's like, it's my
yeah,
birthday.
right,
Everyone has to know it. I'm
right,
taking a
right,
day off from work.
right.
I'm not,
Birthday
I've like
week.
taught classes
Yeah,
on my birthday. I've
yeah,
gone to
yeah,
work on
yeah,
my birthday. I've
yeah,
done drudgery bullshit on my birthday. Like, it's not like I don't celebrate myself or like the fact that it's my birthday, but
yeah.
I feel like imposing it upon everyone is some kind of like, I don't
Right.
know.
I don't know. It's a little bit like adult. It's like as adults, like, are we really celebrating? I mean, I'm happy to be alive. I'm glad I made it to another birthday. But like beyond that, it's like, I don't know. You
But
don't
then I
need
feel
to.
guilty if somebody posts that it's their birthday on Instagram and they
Yeah.
repost someone who posted. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, if I don't wish them happy birthday, but they
Right.
see that I've seen it, they
Right.
might be like, oh, Tim Hall didn't wish me a happy birthday. I hate him.
You
Which
just
I
ruined
feel
their
like people are
birthday.
that way.
You
People
just
are like,
ruined
they
their
really
birthday.
look at like who looked at their story,
Right,
and it
right.
kind of terrifies me. So I'm like, oh
I
shit, I looked at their
know.
story and I wish them a happy birthday. Why are we doing this to each other?
Right.
Just give me an announcement like Facebook used to do, so I know that it's your birthday and I
Right. That
can tell
it's,
you
yeah, happy
privately,
birthday.
happy birthday.
Yeah, for sure. And there's definitely that Instagram thing where everybody wishes you a happy birthday. There's a certain pressure in that too to like respond to
That's
everyone.
what I'm
And
talking about. Yeah.
but sometimes people come out from your past who you haven't talked to forever and they're like, "Happy
Sure.
birthday." And you're like, "Oh my God, how are
And you're
you?"
also like, superficial. You don't give a fuck. You're just wishing happy birthday because you saw it.
Yeah. It is a big deal, that we're all still here and having birthdays. So that I feel
Yeah.
like that
Well, I
can
celebrate.
that could be celebrated,
That's
but
why I
like,
celebrate that. Fine.
yeah, yeah. But don't ask me what birthday it is.
Okay, so Gina, did you win a NIFA grant in the latest rash of NIFA grantees?
I did not, but I did win a New Jersey grant on the same kind of grant in New Jersey because I live in New Jersey. And
Oh, right. So you can't win a NIFA grant because you don't live in New
yeah.
York.
Does
Uh,
anybody, if anybody listening to this is in New Jersey, you have to apply for that grant because I will say that a lot fewer people apply for it than the NYFA.
what is it
And
called?
it's called the New Jersey Council on the Arts Grant.
Oh,
And they give
awesome.
out so much money. Like you can
Oh,
make, you
more
get,
than NIFA.
yeah, you make much bigger. Yeah. And they give out like
Because
a
NIFA,
hundred.
you only get $8,000 from NIFA, and it's hardly changed in like 25 years.
Yeah. I think, and it's much more competitive because it's like New York. So there's so many more artists. But
I've
like
applied for NIFA grants for like 25 years.
yeah, yeah.
Even when I was like, I'm an upstate artist. I'm not even competing with the New York City people, and I still
Yeah.
don't get the fucking.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm telling you, establish a residence in New Jersey. Sorry. But it was like 1,000 people applied, 100 people got grants. That's 1 in 10.
Oh, those
And
odds are incredible.
I know, and they give out like
Yeah.
$30,000. It's a scale. The other thing about the Jersey
Okay.
grants is that they're very blind. So
Oh,
you don't attach your name. So they're just judging
oh,
it blind. Yeah.
that's
So when
pretty
you get
cool.
one, you feel pretty like, oh, okay. Yeah. So
Well, if you've been around the art world long enough and you like look at who won the NIFA grant and then you see
mhm.
who the panelists were, the judges
Uh-huh.
were, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that makes sense. Like I get
Yeah.
it. They either know
Yeah.
that person or they did a
Right.
show with that person or
Right.
they're friends. It's
Right.
still kind of whether you
Yeah.
want to admit it or not, it's a
Yeah.
small world.
That's
It's an
a
insider's
right.
world.
Right.
And you just have
Also
to
like
hope that
right,
you know
motifs. Right, exactly. Or like your work is in a similar, it's sort of what they're into or, it's
right.
like
As a collective,
yeah,
the group of judges are like, oh,
right.
we're interested in this kind of work or these kinds of artists or
Mhm.
right. There's myriad little bits of formula that add up to like who wins them and who doesn't. But
Mhm.
what's also interesting is often I do feel like you see people who win them and you're like, oh, well, they're on a roll right now. So you're like,
Mhm.
do they win it because they're on a
Mhm.
roll? Because the judges are
Mhm.
like, oh, this person's really doing stuff right now.
Mhm.
Let's give them the grant.
Mhm.
Instead of being like, oh, who the hell is this person? Let's
Mhm.
give them the grant so they feel good about themselves. I feel like they
Well,
often give the grant to someone who's like on a roll.
who's already, but it's also about a good application. So maybe they're on a roll because the work has been really strong or whatever. And so the application that they submitted is the same application that they submit to like, I don't know, that maybe that's just a
Right. Maybe
really
the photos
strong,
are really hot and it looks
yeah, and
really
it
good.
looks good
Yeah.
and I don't know. There's a
Because when I
lot.
took a
It's
professional practices class in my MFA program, they spent a
mhm,
lot of time on like how, you've got to have great photos. They've got to be clear. They've got to
mhm,
be well representative. You have to make sure you know the order you're uploading them because that
mhm.
matters. Like there are lots of little ways to kind of, game the system to get more advantage for
Yeah,
sure.
there's lots of things that go into it, I think, and it's kind of random. I don't know. I never got the NYFA applied. It's also tricky because it's the same thing in New Jersey where you have to apply every other year, right? Because
Right.
it's a different slate of, but I did hear from people who got it in categories that they normally like. So if you're a painter, but maybe you can apply in drawing or apply
Well,
in
that's what I do because I have a whole drawing
sculpture. Yeah, yeah,
practice. So I
yeah.
often
Right,
apply for the drawing one and
right.
then
And then
often
also the
always apply for the
painting.
painting.
Yeah.
So I'm
Like,
like, I apply like literally every year for like
yeah,
25 years. I'm like, give me a
yeah.
break, people. Throw me a
Yeah,
bone here.
seriously. Seriously. That is really frustrating. Well, I know with like Creative Capital, with different people that I've talked to that they apply, like somebody I talked to who got it this year had applied like 10 times. Like, so I do think the applying over and over thing is really necessary. And
Well,
some
eventually,
grants,
fuck out of them, and they're like, all right, give
yeah,
me,
fine. Just stop applying. There we go.
please, please just stop applying.
No, no, but it's yeah, and I like some of those like Creative Capital. I appreciate the applications where you don't have to get a reference because I feel like I mean, you can write people's names down, sure, that's not a big, but to actually have to get a letter from people like the
Oh,
Guggenheim,
yeah. I think with the Guggenheim, you have to
you
like
have to
actually
get
get.
letters. And then it's like, do you really do that every year and ask the same people, or
That's
do
probably
you
why they make
ask,
that a little onerous because they're
yeah,
like, we don't
this
really
will,
have to.
yeah, this will slow people down because it definitely stops me from, I'll get like the best four letters on earth that I could get. And then I don't get the grant. And then I'm like, am I going to go back to those people and ask them to write me another one a year
Or
later?
like with the Pollock Krasner grant, you have to, if you reapply, you have to reapply with all new work.
Mm,
You
yeah,
can't reapply
right,
with the same slides.
right,
So
right.
that's also part of like an onerous process. But don't even get me started on the Pollock Krasner. I don't know if I've gone off on this on the show before, but I'll just go
Yeah.
off for one second. That there were two times in my life where I was so unbelievably financially strapped, I was practically destitute. And I applied to the Pollock Krasner and I was like, I'm literally about totally bottoms up, bottoms out, finito, and I need just this much money. It's not that much, like,
Mm-hmm.
and never got it. And then I would see people get it who had like full-time teaching jobs, tenured, like,
Right.
owned houses or whatever, and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
how is this? Who is judging this stuff? It would drive me just
Yeah.
totally bonkers. But
Yeah. Yeah.
note to
Yeah.
everyone out there, you can't overthink that and let it
Right.
just,
Right.
distract you, but it
Well,
can really.
yeah, it is really one. I mean, good piece of news is the Rima Hart Mann Foundation is doing this cancer grant now. They're going to give out, I can't remember now if they're giving out 25 grants or the grants are 25. I think the grants are 25,000 and maybe they're giving out 10 to 12 a year, something like that. And that's for artists living with cancer. And what they're going to, it's a very simple application. You just apply and it goes into like a lottery and they pick from the people, you have to have like a doctor's note and different things like that. But I thought that's a really good, a good initiative, a sad initiative in the sense that like part of it was
I was
brought
just going to
on.
say that's a very depressing
Yeah.
topic. I mean,
Well,
fine.
right.
I'm
But
not sad,
there
but
are
like sad.
a lot of artists who've battled cancer or had cancer, unfortunately, and like all of these rollbacks with the current administration and their
Yeah.
Congress on Obamacare means that artists, can't access the care that's partly why they're doing it because like, which is exactly what these like right wingers wanted, which was we'll roll
Yeah. They
back the
want.
public funding and then private people will step up and do it. Anyway, yeah. So if you know anyone who's battling cancer or has been diagnosed at any level, this is going to be an ongoing
I
thing.
do. And I appreciate those artists who are relatively upfront and honest about it because it's important for the community to be able to rally and help them. Like I remember my really good friend Lumen Wakoa got brain cancer
Oh,
out of
yeah.
nowhere. Like it just literally
Yeah.
was like poof. And she was very upfront, honest, talked about it, like, asked for help when needed. And people really rallied around her and her husband and the children as a community. And I feel like, the art world can really get into gear when it needs
Mm-hmm.
to help.
Totally, totally.
The more we
Yeah.
talk about it, like I love how Richard
Yeah.
Tinkler has been battling cancer. I mean, I don't love that he's been battling cancer, but I love that he's
Yeah.
been always posting about like what's
Mm-hmm.
going on, what trial
Totally.
he's in, what the
Yeah.
stage is, like,
Mm-hmm.
and the people comment and they're so helpful and they're so
Yeah.
positive, and I feel like that kind of energy is
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah, it's very brave and
very
yeah,
brave.
and open. Yeah, to do that. Yeah. Well, and the Remo Hart Man, I mean, the other half, they do art emerging artist grants normally,
Yes.
and then they do cancer grants, and those they've been doing those for a long time because they've lost family members to cancer. I mean, it's in the name of Remo Hart Man, who was their daughter who died of brain cancer, and they yeah, the cancer grants, the hospitals call them and say, we have someone here who is alone and their family member lives in Puerto Rico or whatever. And so the grant will pay for the family member to come and stay and live in New York while they go through treatment. You know, like it's like about giving money to people. And those people are just, they're not artists. They've been doing that for a really long time. And then, so this is a new
That's
expanse.
great. That's
Like,
great.
yeah.
But you know, even though, I mean, I think that yes, I wish the government provided more help and support to people in various states of need. But I also think it's important for wealthy people who have the means and the money to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
help
Mm-hmm.
society as well, help the
Yeah.
arts, help
Dude,
like
oh,
I
totally. At this point, with like, you know, Elon and all these people acting like philanthropy is, you know, a mortal sin. I was just, you
yeah,
know, it's good to see people actually feeling like, no, you know, wealth means giving back, you know? I mean, it's like really important. I saw the Minecraft, I think it's Minecraft, the guy that developed Minecraft is using his money to protect huge swaths of North Carolina and turn them into natural preserves. Like he's just taking that land, like, yeah, he's preserving it.
yeah, we need more of that. But like
Yeah,
it
spending
goes
all his money.
I made at the armory where someone was sort of like mindlessly dropping like $500,000 on like a painting. And I wanted to tap them on the shoulder and be like, take that $500,000, go to the Lower East Side or Chinatown, buy from all those galleries,
Mm-hmm.
and you will float the entire emerging art
Mm-hmm.
market.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah. But
spread the
I know. Those are just like different people have different priorities, and the people that are buying the 500, you know, $1,000 piece, you know, want that as a trophy, right? Or they want that as a, yeah. And so
But
the
I feel like it would
person,
feel be so much more satisfying to feel like, wow, I'm floating the entire emerging art market of New York City.
yeah, I know. It's like what artists would do if we had that kind of
Well,
spending
when I
money.
scratch off the lottery, I
Yeah.
do that. I usually think like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna like go just buy shit ton of art from everyone everywhere.
totally.
I
Yeah.
went gambling this weekend, by the way.
You went where? You went
I went gambling to a casino.
gambling to a casino.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
went
You
to
sent me a
Resorts
picture.
World Catskill, which is in like Monticello, New York.
Wow. And that was just like that was like a side effect of something, or that was like, no, we're going there to gamble. Or which
No, we were actually a guy in the car with Corey and our friend Danielle Henderson,
mhm.
and who has a great podcast called Our Fucking House, by the way, and everyone should
They
listen
are
to.
fucking
Anyway, Danielle and we were going on an adventure. We're like, let's have an adventure. It was a Saturday night. We didn't know what we were doing, and we're just driving, and all of a sudden, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be weird to go like gamble in the Catskills? And Danielle was like, whoa, turn this car around. Let's go. So we literally like pulled like
Mhm.
a 360 donut in like a parking lot and zipped up to Monticello to this casino, and we dropped a couple of $100. Lost it all, of course.
Lost it. That's amazing.
But
I mean,
had an
not that you
amazing time.
lost it.
A funk band playing. They were like keeping their energy going. They were like
Mhm.
wackadoo people. Like the crowd, the people watching is like It's like sort of like the Tiger King meets like 227. It was like such a fascinating group of people. Very diverse, very weird, big crowds. But I once a year I kind of go gambling somehow, like in some way,
Mhm.
like you know, with somebody somehow. And last year I won $800 in 5 minutes. There's
Oh my
five
God. Oh
minutes.
my God.
So you can sometimes have, you know, win some
Just
money,
like
but you know, you
really
win
have.
some, you lose some.
Right, exactly. I remember one time going cross country and we stayed at a campground in Reno where they gave us like a roll of dimes and I was to use at the casino and I won $25 on my roll on my free roll of dimes. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna quit now. Like, and I've sort
You
of
know,
quit.
the
Yeah.
days are over of putting coins into a machine and pulling
Yeah.
the lever.
Oh
It's
yeah.
all like
Oh.
touching a button now.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
all automated.
My aunt once was like at a casino, I think in Las Vegas, and her husband gave her like a couple quarters as they were walking out, and she put the like three quarters in the last three machines, and they all hit at the same time. She won like $25,000.
The
This was,
dream.
I know, this is someone who, you know, talking about people who don't need don't need that kind of money. And I've been forever, I don't know, there's just something about it that's just so outrageous to me. Just the gambling of it all. I feel like my perspective on life doesn't allow for like a lot of gambling because I'm just like too pissed off. And
like we said before in this podcast, though, being an artist is kind of having like a gambling problem. You're always gambling. We're always like throwing whenever we have a solo show.
Maybe that's why I don't enjoy it. Maybe that's why I don't enjoy it. It's like it's a little too close to home. It's a little too on the nose of like, I don't know. So yeah,
it can be fun. And
I love to play
at the casinos. There's lights, there's music, there's drinks. It's ridiculous. You wear a stupid outfit.
Yeah, no, totally. I love all of that. I feel like I love all the marketing of it and the I love when who were we just watching they were in Reno. Oh, it was the Will Ferrell show on Netflix.
I've never been to Las Vegas, Nevada. I've never done it. I would like to.
Yeah.
I would like to do it.
Yeah, I did that. I used to work at an art print company, and we would do these trade shows, and we would do one in Vegas every year. And I just remember being struck by like coming out of the elevator at the hotel, and there was like a man with his walker and his oxygen tank at the first like slot.
So many oxygen at the casino, by the way.
Yeah. This is just is that from smoking, right? Is that I'm thinking, yeah. But yeah, every morning. And I would have to get up really early to make it to like breakfast and the trade shows. I'd be there down in the lobby at like 6 a.m. He would be there. I would come back after dinner at 10 p.m. and he would be there at the same machine. And I don't know. It was pretty dark. I was like, I don't know. Yeah.
Is he just like winnowing down his like social security with some obscure inheritance that he got, and he has no children or doesn't like his family?
Oh my gosh.
So fuck him, throw all the money away.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Americans are probably particularly susceptible to that fantasy, right?
Well, the fantasy of like the get rich quick. Like, I don't want to work hard for it. I want to scratch something off or pull a lever and win $10 million and fuck you all and like lose it all in 3 years.
Right. And we're always sort of being told culturally that you got to have a lot of money. It's like, you're just like, you got it. That'll fix all your problems. You make a lot of money. You're all good, and it's like, well, is that true?
Maybe. So, what's fixed a lot of my problems recently is I have been engaging in some very leisurely, very relaxing, very casual, very fun, no stakes, no, expectations, plein air painting.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Like I've been taking like a little kit, going out into the farms, into the fields, painting pastoral landscapes, using a new medium. I've been trying water-based oil paint.
That's awesome. How does that work?
Anathema. Like I was like, how the fuck does it work?
Yeah.
Like,
does it work?
I started using it more in school, like the studios at Lehman College are wanting to be a little cleaner, a little less toxic. And so they've been like, please try to encourage your students to use these water mixable oil paints, to which I was like, no, that is so inauthentic. That's impossible. It doesn't exist. But I've been using them to sort of get into the rhythm of how they work. I use them like watercolors because I'm like, I'm mixing water in with these like these like wet pigments. And so I don't use a lot of impasto with it. I very sort of like washy and then build up sort of layers of wash. And so it's been interesting because I don't really paint that way in general.
Yeah.
So it's been sort of fun to have a little painting practice that's not my professional practice. That's just fun, relaxing, out in nature, cosplaying Cézanne.
It's awesome. Oh, no. Wait, say that again.
I'm cosplaying Cézanne.
Okay, sorry. You completely cut out like you were muted.
Because I just got a new internet system.
Yeah,
like fiber. Granted, I'm doing this from a distance from the Wi-Fi because my studio is like 200 yards from Wi-Fi. But I turned off my Italian VPN. I cleaned up my hard drive. It should be perfect. Why isn't it perfect?
Yeah.
Your problem.
It might be. It could be. I have a lot of problems, Tim. It's like could be me. No, but I think the picture looks great. The sound is great. Just for some blippy reason, you were just so. I'm glad I got that cosplaying Cézanne like nice and loud on.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, do I do? I go out there, I get like sort of in a weird state. I pretend like I'm like blind from diabetes. I
Oh my
pretend really cranky. I
God.
pretend like painting is this incredible burden. I'm like
You're
burdened to
speaking
do
in a
it.
French accent.
Oui, je parle français. C'est si bon.
That's awesome.
I don't
Well,
know how
I
to say cosplay in French, but
to how to say what? Cosplay in
I don't
French?
have cosplaying Cézanne. Je fais cosplay du Cézanne.
Yeah. Well, that sounds amazing. Yeah,
What other stuff have you been doing? You've been out a
yeah, I've
winery.
been like the little mad scientist, and I think I might have finally figured it out, like how to make, do what they call alla prima, heavy, um, what am I trying to, heavy, what am I
Like
trying to say?
impasto alla prima?
Impasto. Yes,
Okay.
very heavy impasto alla prima by using marble dust. So,
Oh, Tracy Thomason.
what?
Tracy Thomason, she uses marble dust in
Oh,
her
really?
paper.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So using that, and I'm thinking I'm going to start mixing my own, like with dry pigment, because then I think it'll be even more antipasto, like
Well, then you have a
antipasto.
real. Oh, if it's antipasta, it'll be delicious.
Jesus, I have such summer brain. I'm like, all
You're
we
gonna
did was
paint with
eat.
salami stick.
Eat, yeah, all we did was eat and drink wine this weekend, so I'm like a little bit, yes,
But you
flabby.
went away. You went away to a winery
Yeah,
summer.
so to Maryland wine country, if anyone in the Baltimore area, there's a winery restaurant called Old Westminster, which I think is like 30 minutes from Baltimore, and they have these really cute cabanas where you can rent an entire table for like 10 people and you're in your own little space. And it was a really cool example of like taking the pandemic and turning it into something kind of permanent, but like people really love it. And they make really great wines. And then like 40 minutes away, closer to like Northern Virginia, they have a place called Burnt Hill, which is like super high end, but also really amazing. And both of these places, they have their own farm. So like the pigs, they have honey, they have an apiary. They use all local artisans for their, they pulled up all of this old glass because there used to be a distillery, and they took it to a glassmaker in Baltimore, and the glassmaker turned all of this old distillery glass into new carafes and things for the restaurant. They use clay and take it to local potters who make, it's like an amazing enterprise where
Clay's
everything.
really rich down in like Maryland and Virginia. There's a lot of good.
Yeah, it's really, I don't know. I thought it was really awesome. And if you're in that area, you have to check those places out because they're really like destinations and
And is the
amazing
wine
and
good down there in Maryland? I know in
so good.
Virginia, Thomas Jefferson, I think.
Yeah, yeah. They have their own style. And like Maryland, these wines are so impressive. They're really, yeah, you really just exciting. I don't know.
Do
So
you
I was,
often a lot in the summer for Keith's work? Because I imagine like
yeah,
Keith
this is
for the wine to sort of podcast or blog or write about it or
right.
something.
And he's always trying to discover American wine and like what's happening around the US. So he's been invited to a bunch of these things and it's been really fun. Yeah. I was
And
like,
that's fun in locations.
yeah, the locations are really great. And yeah, but I'm like sitting there drinking wine and like just so relaxed. But they had a pool but I kept thinking about the painting in the studio. I really did. I kept like looking at it. I'm like looking back at it, like, what are you doing? How's it? So far, it's all working, but I still need to observe it for a couple more weeks and see. Because I think one of the things that happens is the marble dust like dries down the drying time, which is kind
It
of
does.
good. Yeah, which is good because you kind of want it to dry a little slower. You don't want it to like get that wrinkly top layer. You don't want it to like dry on
Yeah.
top and then be wet underneath, which is what I was struggling with a little bit. So, yeah, I think maybe I'm turning a corner and I figured something out. So
That is the best
we'll
feeling when you're
we'll
working
see.
on a painting that you're obsessed with. And you might
Yes.
be in like on vacation, you might be in
Yeah.
this beautiful environment, you might be very distracted, but you're like, no, I
Hmm.
want to look at the
I want
painting
to
I'm
just look
working
at
on
it.
because it's so important to me and it's working or it's coming together or it's
Yeah.
not. And you're
Yeah.
obsessed with like, why isn't this
Why
working? How
isn't
do I
it?
fix this? How do I
Yeah.
make this right? I love that.
Yeah. I know.
That's
That's the
hot stuff of painting. That's
totally,
when it's
totally. Yeah. So, yeah, so I feel like pretty good. I'm like, I'm gonna make some more. I don't know, I'm in this weird space of like which ideas to make. I only have about like 6 more weeks at home and then I'm going to the Headlands. So it's like, which pieces do I try to make now? And then probably all small, probably just trying to refine this technique a couple more times. And yeah, so yeah, but I feel pretty good about it. It just is also a weird season because people keep asking me for like lips works. So it's
be
a
like,
weird
hey, I'm working on some other stuff.
it's a weird place to be where you're working on like your next thing, but then, people are, you know, and
That's a balance. That's a delicate balance.
I've had people who at the time when I was making the lips works were like, you can't just make lip work. Now telling me, you
Why aren't you
know,
just making lip work?
yeah, I want a lip work. And it's like, uh, so it's a good lesson in like not listening to anything that anybody says ever.
Damned if you do.
Yeah, just don't take any of that stuff. Like the criticism and and the praise, just like don't listen to any of it if you can and just try to like I don't know. But it's also a weird thing between yourself and the market and like until you establish a market for a specific body of work, it's kind of invisible. You may believe in it, but like, you can't, yeah. So, but I am going to Aspen. I was telling you 3:30 car picking me up. Also, can
3:30
I just
a.m.
AM? Can I also just say we live 15 minutes from the airport and I
Oh.
can't expect Keith to like take me to the airport at 3:30. So I'm like, I'm going to get a car, but it's $45 to go to the airport 15
Wow.
minutes. It's become like a complete racket. The
That is such a
airport,
wrap.
it is such a racket because I even asked the AI, how much should I expect to pay from, West Orange, New Jersey to Newark? And it's like 60 to $80. Like, are you
Right.
kidding
Because it
me?
actually should be like $15.
It should be,
That's
it
really,
used to
that would
be.
be the fair price.
It
Yeah.
used to 5 years ago it was like $15 to $25 to go to the airport. Like what is this like a like highway robbery racket that is
It-
now going
It's
how much
literally
is
highway
it? Yeah, literally the Garden State Parkway robbery. Yes. But also how much like if you were to say I'm sure our listeners are wildly fascinated by this conversation, but how much does it cost you to take a car from like the East Village to LaGuardia, say, if you wanted to do that, like a car?
I don't know because
You
I'm
would
too
never.
much of a cheapo that I
Yeah,
would
you would
take public
never.
transportation.
To take, yeah.
Um,
I
but I don't
can't.
even take like cars in the city because it's like too I
It's
think it's so outrageous the
it's gotten
prices that I
so
will walk
expensive.
or
Yes,
subway or take a bike
totally.
before I will take
Oh,
a
a
car or I
hundred
make my
percent. I used
I'm
to
like
in the
I'm
early days. Yeah, no, totally. In the early days of Uber, I would like on opening nights, like I would go downtown to Chelsea. I would take cars the entire time, but it was like cheap, like relative
yeah
to what it is
yeah.
now. Now it would be $25 each way, $30. Like I'm not, yeah, no.
Well, that's
Um,
something I love about living in Manhattan is I will walk everywhere. Like I
yeah,
will
yeah,
walk
yeah.
an hour and a half
Yeah.
if I can
Yeah.
instead of like taking a car
To
or something.
totally. The yesterday I walked so I took the train up from Penn Station to the west side of the park and walked across to go to the Guggenheim. Yeah, it was really nice. And I saw the
Oh, you
Carol
went to the Guggenheim.
yeah, to the
You didn't get
Carol.
Legionnaire's disease?
So far no, but I
Okay.
figured they must be right there. They must be doing something to treat it at this point now that they found it. They can't just be
Because
letting it.
I was gonna call it the Guggen slime.
Well, they can't just be letting it spew Legionnaires, right? They have to have done something, right? Because I was standing right outside, like for a while.
And what's your
But
hot take on the Carol Beauvais show? Because we've talked about the Manhattan Art Review takedown of it.
yeah, did we talk? Did we talk about that?
I
I didn't
think we
see
did because the
that.
Manhattan Art Review really took
Really
a
hated it.
broncatura. That's what they call it in Italian when you take like a hatchet job.
Oh, I have to read that. Yeah, I'm interested in. I mean, there were some like beautiful moments where you're just like blown away. Like she made those four really tall sculptures for the one atrium as you come in, that you can also see from the next, as you go by, you can see the
Are they
tops
the
of them.
crushed pillars, like the sort of metal pillars that are crushed?
Yes, with the big circles at the top.
Hate,
You hate
hate them.
those? Oh, why? What's
I just
hated?
think they are like the stupidest idea. I've like, I don't know, just like take a beam, crush it a little bit, powder coat it yellow. It's like, did AI come up with that? Did you like put that? It just seems like art that you could put into a prompt in AI, and it's like, take a square beam, crush it a little bit, powder coat it yellow, put it in fancy museum. People will
Mhm.
think it's very important.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I mean, I do think the thing that appeals to me about those pieces is the same thing that appeals to me about like Jeff Koons lobster, which is, this air inflatable that you could buy at the dollar store is actually steel, even though,
Which
and
is batshit crazy bonkers. That blows my mind. That is on a
yeah.
different level
You
as
think that's a
Carol Burnett.
totally well? I think the Carol Beauvais are in the same conversation though, because it's
There,
the soft, almost fabricy appeal of this metal that is,
I wish they were more soft and fabricy.
yeah,
I don't think they're pushing the
they're not
medium
as
beyond.
well.
Yeah.
There were some in the show that are almost like draped over things, and I really admire her like use of like she's very interested in like the design and the interior and how things are installed and the palette, and she's not afraid of this bold color. Like I love the idea that some of these were like neon. Like I don't know. I just thought that there were some really
That I can kind of get behind. And I think she's a very smart artist, and I've often loved her site specificity for certain
hmm
things. And certainly her earlier work that I saw at
hmm
Team, or at where was that other
Was it
place?
Rivington Arms or what were those
No,
spaces she used to
there was
show?
another space that was in Tribeca before everyone else was, and it was like sort
Was
of
it near Gavin Brown? What was that space? I
yeah.
can't. Was
I
that
can't remember
Rivington
the German
Arms?
name. I
Oh
can't.
no,
No,
no.
it was a German Klimcher. I don't know. Anyway, I saw her work a lot. In the early mid 2000s, and I thought, oh, it's mystical, it's weird, it's
Mm-hmm.
designy, it's kind of got some uncomfortable, bizarre things going on. But
Mm-hmm.
then now with those like big metal crushed pieces, I'm just like, no, nope, I
Mm-hmm.
reject it. Sorry.
You don't, yeah. Well, I like so they start at the bottom with those, and then as you go up the spiral, the work becomes more ethereal in the natural light, and it's more of that earlier work
Yes, that
as you
I'm
go
sure is
up.
beautiful. That I
Yeah, there was
like. Yeah.
some really, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think yeah.
Was it a
I thought
fun
it was
experience?
I thought it was,
Traversing the.
yeah, I thought it was compelling and interesting. I thought it was, merging these two very different, in some ways, very different kinds of bodies of work, like the more ethereal and then the very like heavy, bright pop.
Yeah.
I wonder if there could have been some other way to integrate those or, um, yeah, I don't know, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was good. And I like those. And I like the ones that were in that initial atrium. There was a conversation about Bob Fosse and
Ooh,
also
now we're
Sweet Charity and also mythic Greek what am I trying to say? The seven graces. So it's like got this like mythological, but also once I read that, I really the big spheres and the way that they're almost like dancers or moving or I don't know. I
I
thought it
can
was
get
really
with
cool.
that. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I think her
Yeah.
art has some intelligence to it. I'm not sort
Hmm.
of rejecting it, but I saw a really fun and wacky show downtown last week at Fearman Gallery. It was Nora Griffin, the painter, doing a
Hmm.
two-person father, George Griffin, who was a well-known animator and illustrator. He's still alive, but he's an older fellow and never had a big commercial career per se. But Nora organized this show of her work and his work together, and it's really super fun because you kind of see maybe how she has a real kind of 80s pop sensibility, very image based, very wacky, and he does too. So you kind of see where daughter and father sharing inspiration. It's a cool show, and there is interactive. There's a wall animation box that you spin a wheel, and as you spin the wheel, the animation on a screen moves, so you totally control the movement of the animation through your own action, which is really kind of a fun interactive. It's
Hmm.
where you get to actually touch the art and feel like you're kind of part of it, which is sometimes stupid and cheesy, but sometimes it can be really interesting. And it reminds me of the painter Michael Pybus or Pebus. I don't know what his last name is. Pybus. He was actually criticizing Carol Beauvais in an internet post that he made about how she was saying that art should be touched in museums and that she feels like people are alienated by art that you can't touch. And he was criticizing Carol Beauvais because her art is in a museum and you can't touch it. And he's like, what kind of drivel is this? That you're like sort of saying it's sad that people can't touch art, yet here you are having a museum show and you not allowing people to touch it.
And you can't touch
And
it. Yeah.
and so it was fun though that in the show you were able to really touch some of this artwork that George Griffin had made and get to see the arc of his long and sort of avant-garde career in art, in the intersection of art and animation.
Mhm. Oh, that sounds
So
really
that
good. Yeah.
went through I went through that with my friend Itzhak Font, who I met a couple of years ago, but reconnected with in Rome because he got a Fulbright in Rome all last year. And I went to his studio when I was just in Rome, but he's back in New York. And I was like, let's go see this show because I wanted him to see Nora Griffin's paintings because I'm very inspired by Nora's paintings. And I feel like Itzhak would also be inspired by Nora's paintings. And so it was fun to sort of connect a much younger artist with some slightly older artists to sort of bring in that conversation. So super
That's
fun.
really cool. Yeah, that sounds really great. Yeah, I think Michael had tagged us in a post like um Carol Beauvais was on CBS this morning maybe or there was some kind of because as I was standing in line to go into the show there was a couple behind me that was talking about, oh, she's the one from CBS this morning,
Uh,
which
I'm
I
sure
thought,
that drove up
yeah, that
viewership because
really
I know
got
when
some.
Bridget Donahue told me that when they had the Elaine Reichik show, it was sort of like slow people
Hmm.
coming in. But then when Hilton Als wrote about it in the New Yorker,
Hmm.
there was like a line out the door. Like
Mm.
people came
Yeah.
out of the for this show.
Oh,
And so
that's
she was just
cool.
saying how, believe it or not, sometimes press
It really drives. Yeah.
can really drive
Yeah.
attention.
No, it's just interesting too, because like the people that would read a Hilton Als piece in the New Yorker would be able to, I don't know. Yeah, that's a different kind of crowd than the CBS This Morning crowd, I would imagine. And like,
Completely different
so
crowd.
that was kind of interesting. Like I was like, I wonder what they're gonna make of this show.
Well, through the New
Um
Yorker, you're only going to reach maybe like 25,000 people or something. But through
mm,
CBS, you reach like 5 million.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. What did that
Did
remind
you
me
see
of?
The Odyssey?
No,
Christopher
not
Nolan's
yet.
Odyssey?
Have you seen it?
No, I'm not running out to it.
Hmm.
I feel like from what I've read and understand, it takes some weird liberties.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about like woke bullshit. I'm talking about like
Yeah.
desexualizing Odysseus, like taking
Mm-hmm.
the female figures and kind of
Mm-hmm.
de-sexualizing or de-empowering them,
Mm-hmm.
taking away a lot of the concepts of nostalgia that are so important. I mean, I cut my chops with the Odyssey. I've
Mm-hmm.
taken 2 college classes in the
Yeah.
Odyssey. I
Yeah.
was at NYU, so I've read it at least 4 times in my life. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely a
That's
book that I take very seriously and
mm-hmm.
understand well. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not running out to see this
Mm-hmm.
because I've actually never watched any
Mm-hmm.
film of the Odyssey because I like having an idea in my own mind
Right.
of
You don't want
what
to
these
disturb the
characters look like.
yeah.
And so I may never see it. Actually, I may
Yeah.
never see
You may never.
it. I like it being something I've taken with me since
Mm-hmm.
college, and it really got me interested in the ancient world and mythology and esotericism and just reading these things in a deeper, more profound way, not just as a superficial story. And
Yeah.
from what I understand, the Odyssey movie kind of just takes it as like a superficial story a little bit.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting.
and
Yeah. Well, I got a message from my dad that was like, "Have you seen it yet? We have to discuss." So I can't tell if that
ooh.
means he liked it
Well,
or
I
not,
wonder, as
or
like a Greek
but
patriot, what
right. I'm
your
sure he
dad.
has thoughts. So lots of thoughts. So I'm definitely gonna have to see it just so I could discuss with him. But
But
I
you know,
do.
what actually is the coolest thing about it, and I would tell this to your
Hmm.
dad if he's critical in any way, the thing I can praise about it is it's put classics back in the conversation.
That's what I feel like he always supports that. Like he's always behind that. I do think it's interesting. Do you have you seen any other Christopher Nolan movies or do you
I think I've seen all of them, but I don't
Mhm.
really remember which and
Mhm.
who. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And what is your feeling on on his movies? Like
I mean, when I think back on the ones that I know of, which was like Inception and
Mhm.
Oppenheimer,
Mhm.
I appreciate they were kind of cerebral movies. They really
Mhm.
got me thinking and
Mhm.
contemplating, and they were artistic in their own way. And I'm
Mhm.
glad that there's someone who's allowed to make movies that are not
Mhm.
like some
Like
stupid
so
rom-com
linear and
or
yeah.
Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like, so I like that. I admire that. And someone told me recently that Christopher Nolan doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't do email,
Mm.
and I love it when I hear people
Mhm.
who are like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, you can
Yeah.
get shit done big
Yeah.
time and
Yeah.
not have any of
And
that
not have
stuff. So we
any.
don't need that stuff.
Well, he doesn't need that stuff. Oh, he has
It's like when
assistants
John
who are using
Baldessari said that
email.
he didn't need to carry a wallet anymore. I remember this
Yeah.
interview with
Yeah.
John Baldessari. He was like, he's like, someone was like, well, what's it like to be successful? And he's like, well, I didn't really realize I was successful until I didn't have to carry a wallet.
What? What does that mean? That means everywhere you go, people recognize you and give you it for free? What is
I think it means that like maybe he had an assistant who just like
assistant?
paid
That's what I'm
stuff.
saying. Like, what's his name's assistant is definitely sending emails and answering.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, like, yeah, so Christopher Nolan doesn't use email, but surely his at least one assistant, if not multiple assistants, are busy on the tech. Yeah.
Well, I remember
But
reading that Philip Taft didn't have email and or a
mhm,
cell phone, and you had to call him on the telephone, like
mhm.
the landline. So one day I was in Luring Augustine, just being weird, and I said to the girl at the
Just
front
being
desk,
weird.
I was like, "Do you have to call Philip Taft from the telephone?" And she was like, "No, he has like email and a cell phone now."
Oh, okay.
Oh, damn!
Damn
Why just
it.
lie to me?
Damn
Just lie
it.
to me. Just
Can
keep the
you just
mystique going.
don't ever call me on the telephone? I just want to take this opportunity to say, don't ever,
Really?
also, don't
Call me on
ever,
it. I love.
but don't ever do it unannounced. Can you imagine if I look down and I see that you're calling me?
Oh,
I'm going to think,
yeah.
like, first of all, something terrible has happened. And, like, yeah, I feel like it's such an aggressive thing to just call someone out of the blue. Like, when people do that to me, I'm like, What are you
But
doing?
I'm, on the other hand, I think it's an incredibly loving and spontaneous thing. Like if all of a
Yeah.
sudden I looked down at my phone
Hmm.
and like Paul Sapuya was calling me,
Yeah.
I would be so excited. I'd be like, oh my
Yeah.
God,
No,
how
totally.
wonderful, how
Yeah.
unexpected, you know? But things like that never happen
We
anymore because
don't, we
nobody
don't,
wants to call and nobody
right.
wants to call anymore,
And we have to
which
really
is,
schedule it. You have to schedule a
yes.
call. You can't just like,
Oh, I'll call
if
you
I
at 3
call
p.m. on
you,
Thursday.
if I call you and then you answer and I'm like, hey, and you're like,
Yeah.
what's up? I'm like, nothing. Just calling to say hi. Gina, I'm in the middle of, it's like, I don't know. It's
When
a different
TM Davy
culture.
was doing the Tracy Emin residency in Margate, he was
Mm-hmm.
there for like 7 months, and
Wow.
he was painting the whole time, but he had a lot of time on his hand in general, and I would just call him whenever I wanted because he would be basically up and painting almost like 24/7. He like would
Mm.
like sleep for 3 or 4 hours, then be back up, and like
Wow.
so I would just randomly call him at any time I wanted, and we would
Nice.
just like talk for an hour or two. And that was like, and this was only last year, it was like the golden age for me of like telephone conversation. I
Yeah,
loved it. I loved
yes.
that.
I mean, I do
I
love
miss,
that. Yeah, I do love that once I'm on the phone. Like, Hayne and I will do that call and talk for a couple hours while we're both working, and just have it on speaker and like chat. And like, that's the best. Yeah, I do think that's really great. But you both have to be somewhere in your work where you can just chat. You can't be doing
well,
anything.
absolutely. It can't
You
be in a
can't just
creative,
be,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like I'm working on a painting right now that's pure execution. Like I'm building a whole impasto surface where I'm
Oh,
just
cool.
in the
Yeah.
zone for like, 6 hours,
Mm-hmm.
7 hours on end doing my little mark making.
Mm-hmm.
And I can have the most beautiful conversations during that time. I can
Mm-hmm.
listen to the most insane podcasts with
Mm-hmm.
crazy, about Schopenhauer and
Mm-hmm.
Kant and the categorical imperative because I'm just like in this
Mm-hmm.
like mental meditative zone. But if I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
anything creative, like
Mm-hmm.
forget it. I can't talk. I
Forget.
can't listen.
Totally,
No.
totally. Yeah. That reminded me of Agnes Martin twice. Agnes Martin has come up in a negative way in
What?
conversation.
How
I know.
dare some?
I know. When
How?
you said that about meditative, somebody was saying, like rejecting Agnes Martin and everything that comes with that. And it was almost as if Agnes Martin was the stand-in for like Abex or like all of modernist abstract painting after 19, I don't know, it was the strangest thing because I was like, also why is she the lightning rod, because her work has a lot more to do with meditation and you know marking
Agnes Martin's
moments.
work is deeply philosophical. Read her
Yes,
writings. Her
yes, I
writings are
know.
bonkers. They are so
Yes, I
weird. When
know.
I first discovered her writings, it changed my art, changed my whole
Yeah,
philosophy of how
yeah, no,
you
totally. I wonder.
Agnes Martin in front of me. I wouldn't have it.
No, exactly. I was like, both times I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, also, you
Did you ever
can't.
see my Agnes Martin T-shirt? I made a T-shirt with
Did
Agnes
you?
Martin.
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
would love that. Yeah,
I'll have to post it because I mean,
yeah.
only the weirdest weirdo painters have bought it. Like, I can't, like, who's gonna buy an Agnes Martin T-shirt? I mean, I've sold like 5 of them,
Yes, but
but the 5 people who
five
bought
special
them,
people.
yeah, because I also did a
Yeah.
Joan Mitchell T-shirt
Oh,
of
I
like
love
a
that.
drawing of Joan Mitchell, and
Yeah.
maybe only like 5 people have bought it, but like
Yeah.
those people who bought it wrote to me and
Yeah.
were like, I never imagined there'd be a T-shirt with Joan Mitchell on.
So great. So great.
So.
You're doing the work. Yes.
If
Very
anyone
good.
has any ideas for other great female painters, I might do another great female painter T-shirt.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, the Gina Beaver.
Just kidding. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So let's just like not get ahead of our skis and like reject. The only thing I thought is maybe people are misunderstanding Agnes Martin
Wait, but
and
why? But I need to just have this understanding.
rejecting.
Why were they rejecting Agnes Martin? They thought it was too
Well,
much
it
in the
was,
traditional
I
Abex
think that
mysticism.
it's really like rejecting what you were taught, coming up through a school, an educational program where they taught you about, or maybe they had a professor that was like a big fan of Agnes Martin. And so then you're taught this as like, and so it's about rejecting what you're taught in this way that was presented to me as sort of like thinking more about the future and breaking. But then I was like, but then why is everyone painting like it's like the 16th century, like, or 17th century? Like if it's about rejecting Agnes Martin and like sort of a historicizing, then why is everyone going back 500 years? Like, I don't, going back to this, like, I don't, it was obviously it was a very young artist who was saying this to me.
Well,
and
that makes sense. I mean,
I'm struggling to, I want to understand it, I want to understand the criticism, but I was like, but then why are we going back to this sort of mannerist, or even earlier than her, even just a 50 years earlier than her, like sort of early 20th century kind of mark making and palettes, and then why? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
But Agnes Martin is not above reproach. I mean, I have my own.
Nobody's above reproach. Yeah.
I can kind of criticize that. Well, yes, Cézanne is above reproach, but I can kind of criticize that. I feel like Agnes Martin's been a little overly preciously canonized in a way. Like, I feel like there is this sort of preciousness that's sort of been built up around her, and maybe too much of a mythology of like the New Mexico kind of tough woman living in a puebla kind of thing.
Did she live in New Mexico?
Yes.
Did she? I'm looking it up.
She got in like a truck and like moved down to New Mexico and built like a clay house, whatever that's called, like a
Are you
in like Taos, New Mexico?
Are you sure?
I'm not thinking for
no. Oh, she died. She died in Taos, New Mexico. Yes, you're right. Okay.
Yeah, and she lived this like very ascetic life.
Interesting. Okay.
It was like a very queer kind of, gender queer kind of character. She like looked very masculine, had a Caesar haircut, a la Gertrude Stein. Drove like a Volkswagen Golf that she could like put her paintings in the back of, listen to Beethoven while she painted. There's a whole kind of, it's fantastic. And if I think for me as a young artist, I was like, wow, this is the coolest thing I can think of.
This is very cool. Yeah. But now maybe people are sort of taking that as normal and not a big,
now it's become too normalized, too canonized. Museum, there's been lots of shows, like kind of it's a little anesthetized now anyway.
That's interesting. Okay, yeah, maybe it still doesn't and it still doesn't answer the question then, like, why are we going back to influences like way before that though? Like, why is there so much of a sort of classical painting influence? It's just killing off?
If you do too much of that, you're going to end up in the hole. I mean, look at the whole gallery.
Yeah. What?
One thing that I think that Kathy Grayson did well is she really discovered painters who by and large were very talented, who really knew how to render in like a realistic or mannerist style, and were like, actually, she really supported what I would generally call like great painting, just like from an ability standpoint. But I don't know if at the end of the day has been her bread and butter. Yeah.
Well, because they're getting sued, right, by a couple artists.
Yeah,
for non-payment.
It's not a private thing. I mean, I've been open up ArtNet and ArtNews, and they're all reporting about how the whole is being sued by all this raft of artists who were never paid for work that was sold.
Right.
And there's a lot of talk now about how actually there's a law that says that the gallery, when they get paid if they get paid $1,000 for your work of art, they have to put $500 aside for you and keep $500 for them right away.
Yeah.
But most galleries don't do that. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so end up in the hole, pun intended. And then they can't get out of it.
Yeah, no, there's when I used to show with Clifton Benevento and the Lower East, actually they were on Broadway, and someone who had worked there went to work at another gallery, and she was like, I just found out that because like Clifton Benevento always paid the artists right away, like would pay the artists and so they ended up closing in 2016, and it wasn't because of anything financial. It was just like simply different visions for where the gallery would go. And the person who had worked there said, "Oh, it turns out when they went to work at other galleries downtown that everybody was floating, using the artist's half to float the gallery. Like nobody was paying the artist on time or,
It's really the business practice. I know the gallerist thinks like, oh, I'm getting like a no interest loan from the artist. Gee, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
But like, that's not how it works. And that's actually what's called like a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. These things but it's so hard to know from the artist's perspective, and it depends where you are in your relationship with the gallery and how emerging you are. And artists are kind of always in this weird space of like feeling like they can't ask or they can't push and you don't really know like, oh, it's sold. Oh, what day did it sell? Like, can you send me a document that says it's sold? So now I should expect to be paid. And, and galleries will try to push that as far as they can. Some galleries like letting like we have interest. Oh, it's sold. Oh, but I don't have any, and then it's always like, oh, we're on the same side because I'm waiting to get paid by the collector, but I was just talking to a collector another gallery that closed downtown recently. They had paid for something 2 years ago and they just heard from the artist that they were never paid. And the gallery has gone out of business in the intervening, like recently.
And you have to be careful what you wish for, because so many of us wish to be showing and working with galleries that can do the work.
Right.
But it's like, I think Truman Capote said more tears have been shed from answered prayers than not answered prayers.
That's such a good quote.
I feel like a lot of those artists who then get with a gallery that's selling the work, they realize, oh, but now I'm not getting paid for it. To me, the idea of being owed like $300,000 from a gallery and then realizing you may never get that money would make me go so postal that person would wish they were.
Yeah. I mean, usually the artists that rack up those kinds of debts have other galleries that are paying them. So it's like they're like, oh, I'll just, they're making a lot of money through other galleries maybe. And so they're like, well, I'll wait. Because I've definitely heard of that. People having these big balances owed by a gallery, but they're still working with the gallery. Like I would never be. I mean, I had a situation once where I was able to hold back work that was coming back from a museum show that had been sold by a gallery, and they hadn't paid me. And so I called the museum and I was like, instead of that work going back to the gallery, it should come to me. And then I held that work.
Gina, you're a badass boss bitch. I love that.
And I rolled up to my studio one day and the gallerist was standing outside like, I need that piece. And I said, I need to be paid. Because they were like, the collector's going wild. I have to send. I said, you have not paid me for that piece. Like, you're not, it was on the museum wall for like 3 months or something. You had plenty of time, or 6 months. You had plenty of time to pay me, but you're not getting it until you pay me. So in those.
I love that you were holding your own art ransom for the money
to get
that
paid.
you were owed.
And the collector went absolutely bananas. I hope it didn't like tarnish the piece for them, that they went through this.
But like, it's not your. That's all.
I know. I hope it didn't, because they were completely down on the gallery. Like, how dare they? And then I was additionally holding up them getting the piece because I was literally holding it up. But it's like, I don't know. I was just so outraged at the time that they would even try to pull this on me, and it was like broad daylight. Like, I see what you're doing. You're not. And the collector kept contacting me. I paid for this piece and I haven't seen it. Where is it? So that's the other thing is like, if the collectors, I wish collectors,
were more on top of that.
Or just would like let the artist, but it's, I don't know. That was just a unique situation where I was able to step in and like, I'd be like, no.
I guess I've been fortunate that every gallery I've worked with, that I've sold with, has eventually paid me. Some immediately, like you were saying, like will pay you sort of right away. Some took like a year. Some took a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
but I
Mm-hmm.
eventually always got like paid up. But I was very, you
Mm-hmm.
know, tenacious about very,
Mm-hmm.
like when can we get paid? Well, and I guess I've been lucky that none of those galleries went bottoms
Actually
up
went
before
under.
I had gotten paid. But
It's
I
kind
was
of a
also never owed, not one of those artists who was owed like
right, right,
$300,000.
right. I mean, it's kind of a harbinger when that starts to happen, when you're really fighting with a gallery to get
Yeah.
paid. That like, although I've done that with galleries that are still around. I don't know, but if it's going to go beyond, if you told me that it sold and we're at like month 3, I'm panicking. I'm being really annoying. I've maybe not burned bridges, but just been annoying enough that I'm sure there are people that don't want me to be in a group show or whatever, because I was just like, I'm not going to tolerate that. Like, that's so
No, you have to
disrespectful.
stand up for yourself and advocate for
It's like,
yourself.
it's really
And if you have a
embarrassing.
legacy, don't
Yeah.
stand on it.
I mean, it's embarrassing when like a work doesn't sell, but like if a work sells and you told me that it's sold and then you're going to sit there in my face and like not pay me, like that's embarrassing for you. Like that's just, yeah. But the one person this happened with, I recently saw, and they gave me a big, like this gallerist gave me a big hug. So I guess everything over time, washes
Yeah.
away over decades. Over
The only
decades,
pickle,
everyone could come back
yeah,
around. Yeah.
the only pickle I've gotten myself into now with art is when I've shown with an Italian gallery. They sold stuff and they paid me for it, but the stuff that they didn't sell that they
Hmm.
still have, they've never returned
Oh
to
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And I can't get it back. Like
Well,
they're
it's
like,
like,
it's like in
yeah.
this warehouse, it's in that
Right.
warehouse, it's
Right,
too
right.
expensive,
Oh
blah
my
blah blah.
God. Yeah.
So like here's all this work of mine that I showed
Yeah.
in Florence, Italy, like
Yeah.
7 or 8 years ago now,
Yeah.
that is probably never
You're
coming
never
back to me.
gonna,
There's
unless
like
you
nothing I can do
you
about it.
you make a trip, you go there, you pack it up, you send it back yourself. But like, who wants to do that? Like, and
Yeah.
especially
I mean,
now, yeah,
it's
I mean, you could
they don't
totally
even
do
know
that.
where it is. They're like, oh, it's in this warehouse, it's in that warehouse. We don't
If
even
they
know
can
where it
find the
is.
warehouse, you unstretch it, you put it in a tube, I don't know, and you mail it back to, I don't know. Or you
I mean,
or
that's
you
what it happened.
pay the overage on your, a giant
Yeah.
extra bag or some, I don't know,
But
something, but
that's my word of advice though to
yeah.
people who show abroad is that be careful that
Mm-hmm.
like getting the work
Mm-hmm.
back, they will
Right.
really bulk at that. Like
Yes.
they'll pay for it to get it there because they think they're
Yes.
going to sell it.
Yes.
But if it hasn't
Yeah.
sold, they don't
Right.
want to
They don't
send
want
it
it,
back.
let alone now, because now it's even more expensive than
Way
it's
more.
ever
Exactly.
been, you
Really
know?
be aware of
Yeah.
that or,
Yeah. That's, yeah, for
right.
sure. I have works out there in Europe that are chilling. So
And
I
they'll
don't
be
know.
chilling.
They'll be chilling.
They'll
I'm still
God,
working with those spaces, so I'm always like, well, maybe something will, I don't know. But
yeah, well, that's okay if you
yeah.
still have an outstanding
Yeah.
working relationship with them. I
Yeah.
suppose you can just
It's like,
fantasize that it's
yeah.
being held
Being
in.
shown. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was just telling somebody about this recently. I once had a gallerist had like a really major work of mine that I made for them to show, and they were sort of holding over a show at another space of theirs. Like basically when you agree to show at this other space of ours, then I'll show it to clients, and like they had it overseas. Because I was like, what's going on with that piece? They're like, well, when you agree to do another show with us, we'll show it to people.
That's such a
Is that the
European scheme.
dumbest? Like, talk
But
about shooting
I've,
yourself in the
uh,
foot. Why would you
that's
ever
not.
do that? That is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's also very common now. They're like, oh, we'll give you a show, but there are and we'll pay for you to come over or whatever. But you need to donate a work to our foundation
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
because
Right,
all these
right over
Italian
the
groups now have these foundations, which are basically
foundations. Yeah, where you're actually like, yeah, where you're donating a piece. We'll pay for you to come over. You make all the, I don't know. Yeah, a donate a work that, I don't know. Yeah, this, I was just like, you're a gallerist. I'm an artist. Why wouldn't you prove to me that you can sell something?
Yeah.
And then I'll do a show with you.
Because they want to take advantage of artists who are like, ooh, an opportunity, I'll take it no matter what.
Right, right. But
They're
if
like,
you
okay,
can't
you
sell
all you
it,
wish for.
Yeah, show me you can sell the work and then I'll do a show with you. I don't get it. Why wouldn't you start small and then, but why, I don't know.
I
It didn't work
remember
out well.
one time I started showing with a certain gallery, and we had a meeting
Mm-hmm.
about working together. And I started drilling them on the financials of their business.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you have backers, or where's the
Mm-hmm.
money coming from? Or how are you affording to do this? And they were so cagey and taken aback that I would ask these kinds of questions.
Yeah.
And I ended up working with them, and it was good. They eventually went out of business, but but I was kind of like, in a way, should have been like a red flag of like, if they're not really able to be, if they want to go into a business relationship with me and
Mm-hmm.
they're not able to be forward about like how they're really running their business, then
Yeah.
that's kind of a red
A
flag.
red flag. Yeah.
Not that they should be divulging everything, but
Yeah.
I want to know that they're not going to be running a Ponzi scheme and
Right, right.
robbing people to
Right.
pay
No,
calls.
that's true. Like, yeah. I know I used to have grand thoughts about like whether a gallery that was like all, people who sort of made their money themselves by selling work. I thought that was a really good sign that if you didn't have money, you didn't come from money, that was a really good sign that you were, somebody like a Gosian who used to sell, um,
Right.
right
Posters on the
on the street. Yeah, like that kind of energy. But then I also think that people who have money, who have a space, because I was like, oh well, maybe if you have money, then that makes you like lazier about selling work because you don't have that, So, but I actually think it's like six of one, half dozen of like I don't think it's really just the person, and sometimes people who have money are more they might pay you sooner, they might pay you when they sell something like more easily. So yeah, but yeah.
I
Right.
wanted to say though that I feel like there's so much talk about galleries closing all the
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
and gallery bad practices
Yeah.
that I feel like I wish that people reported on good news about
Yeah.
galleries and
Yeah.
gallery opening,
Right.
because I just got this email from Candice Maddie saying that she's closing, but two galleries are springing up in her
In
space.
her. Oh, okay.
The
So that's
Story
cool.
Gallery and Isabel Waltzen Gallery.
Oh,
And they
okay.
both Nathan Story and Isabel
Mm-hmm.
Waltzen worked with Candice, and
Mm-hmm.
they have decided they want to open their own congruent galleries in that space. And I feel like that's like worth supporting and talking about, because even though everyone discusses how bad the market is and how difficult it is to run a gallery and all these galleries are going out of business, guess
Mm-hmm.
what? People are still opening
Mm-hmm.
galleries. There still is
Yeah.
hope. There
They
are
still
still
believe in
people
it.
who want
Yeah.
to believe in it. And I feel like that
Yeah.
should be a news story. People should be talking about, somebody's success story, somebody opening, somebody having hope. And
Yes.
so I just wanted to mention
Yes.
that at the end of our
Totally.
podcast, that there is hope, that people are
Yes.
still taking chances and showing art and opening galleries, and
Totally. Totally. I think
good.
that's great. I know, because we're now like almost an hour and a half. I had this one thing written down, which I didn't know, and maybe anyone who has worked in similar ways to me, or I don't know if you also appropriate, but did you know that there's a statute of limitations on copyright? You
No,
can
what is it?
2 years. You can only, I don't know. This was the Jeff Koons case. Maybe I'm
Meaning that if you appropriate someone's image, they have 2 years to catch you, and then you're cool.
I
Is that
think
what you're saying?
I think so. I mean, I think so. That was my reading of it, which actually is kind of refreshing because it means, well, I think it's like, you can't wait for that person to become really famous and make a lot of money
Right.
and then hear about it. I
Well,
mean,
maybe a lawyer will call into our show and
and let us know
clarify.
if that's
So
right.
our
Maybe I'm
show isn't
wrong.
a call-in
Maybe
show.
I'm wrong. I thought because I saw Jeff Koons just won this case because it was outside the statute of limitations. Anyway, who cares? But like, yeah, but just like keep your eyes peeled for people ripping you off and sue
Well, I
them right
watch it.
away. No, I'm
I
just kidding.
think, yeah,
I don't know. I don't
appropriation
know.
is great. Everyone should just be appropriating. It's fine.
Uh, well,
Anyway, all right. We'll
this
enjoy
is a
this
long one.
of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
July. July's almost
Yes.
over.
Yes. I'll let you know how Aspen is and all the things I do, all the hiking and all the events and
Ah,
keynotes,
yes. Are
beaches
you all
and
right? So you're going. Let's just wrap this up with you're going to Aspen for a couple of reasons. I understand.
yeah, I have a couple. I have three drawings in the fair with Marianne Boski, and then I've donated a piece to the Aspen Art Museum. And then Creative Capital has like a dinner that I'm going to. It's like I have a bunch of different, yeah, there were a lot of reasons to go. So,
Awesome.
to go and be the brokest person in Aspen, no, to be in the bottom 5% or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Wear something weird.
I know
Wear
I
something
can't. It's like you can't
weird.
either. I can't compete with the like
Yeah.
designery of it all. So I will be
Well, yeah.
wearing my
Oh,
thrift
yes.
store
You,
finds. So I will be wearing my thrift store. I did like vanity wise like do my roots and stuff, and I'm gonna do a little facial today.
good for you.
But
All right.
to
Well,
try to
have
hang.
fun, and
Okay.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Okay. Bye, Tim. Have a great day.
Bye,
Bye.
Gina. Bye.
Bye. Sorry, I chose.